Okay, so this is my colony Mimesia Piriformis. The queen of this colony was caught at the end of autumn last year, so that would have been May last year, 2021. It's now the 30th of November. That was in May of 2020. It's now the 30th of November 2021. So this colony is not even 2 years old. And I thought I'd get the camera out at the moment because they're hunting. They've just caught about 4 crickets already, so I wouldn't be surprised if they wind up feeling like they've done enough very soon. But I've emptied a bunch of crickets into the setup. This is not a naturalistic setup, but if you provide the crickets, shared access to the honey, access to a water tube, and put a bit of carrot in there every now and then, like not all the time, the crickets will do just fine. You can see here she's just caught and killed a small one, although she hasn't been very accurate with the sting here. This worker is not a very big worker, but she absolutely dwarfs that cricket. So let's watch her take her prey home. One thing that's good about catching prey that's smaller than themselves is it's easy to take home, and they do like that. The only real limitation to prey size is getting it home. So she's making sure it's dead. She can sense that it's still struggling a bit, and she's popping in another sting there. That should do the trick. Now, it's interesting that she finds her way by walking backwards, but she is actually looking for her home. And I think the big cricket in front of her eyesight is making it hard to see. So yeah, you can see they're still quite actively hunting right now. You can see the way they pounce at their prey. They are capable of small jumps, but they don't really jump. They're not really known for it, but they are capable of little leaps forward, should I say. So with this setup, I hydrate there's a little hole under that rock, and there's also a little hole under those rocks over there. And when you pull those off, that leads into the nest. Well, not into the nest, but in behind the nest, so that you can hydrate in behind the nest. You can actually see where I tried to... What was I trying to do? Oh, I was trying to put dirt in through there, so that's actually a blocked up hole. That's not a hydration hole. And they're not really using this side of the nest yet, but I think they will very soon because they're going to need it. But the chambers are pretty crap, so... I'm not sure if this will help or not, but we'll try. Yeah, that might help. There we go. So you can see the queen just there. Plenty of eggs just there, and small larvae. I mean, this is enough brood as it is, but this is just nothing. They've just got so much more. A lot of workers congregate around here. So if anything wants to even get in anywhere near the queen, they have to go through all of them first. The colony population's it's over 40. I don't know what it is exactly, but I know that it's over 40, based just purely on the sheer amount of empty cocoons that are out here that have been cleared. But besides another 12 that I've already cleared, that's what's there. And they've still got all these other cocoons to open, but this was absolutely chockers full of cocoons. And now it's just loaded with brood, and there's quite a few fresh workers. And obviously, they've just opened the cocoons, but one of the ways you can actually tell they're fresh is on the bottom. They haven't really darkened up on the bottom of their faces yet, so it's like if you can get a look underneath at the bottom of their... See that one, how it's really light on the bottom? Well, they're almost like... See, here's one with even really light mandibles as well. That's a new worker. Those mandibles will darken up, and they don't leave the nest like this. So she hasn't got, the armour, the exoskeleton isn't really fully hardened around certain areas yet, I don't think. I can't think of the word. So I like to hydrate straight into the entrance. down there. And oh, you might be able to see it. No, see, it's pretty warm, and I haven't done it for a couple of days, but I don't like to overwater it either. But yeah, it's hard to see it here, but there is over 40 workers in this colony. But 40 doesn't look like 40. You've got to like really count them, I suppose. So at the moment, yeah, it's pretty warm in there. It's been a warm day, so it's about 29 degrees inside the setup. Although underground here, it's probably not as hot. Setup does have some foam that's hidden by this vinyl. And that foam goes all the way through the setup. Although not here. But yeah, you've basically got just dirt on top, dry sand on top. And they won't dig because it's dry. So see the queen there. So the end of autumn next year, this colony will be 2 years old, and I think by then it'll be about 100 workers. It's amazing how relaxed they are when you pull off the sides. Other species just flip right out. You know, these girls aren't so bad. So you can actually take this off, have a look, and you don't feel like you're disturbing them and stressing them too much when you do it. And that's that. So the covers are just cardboard with some texture printed and stuck on just to help make it look a bit nicer. Now the lid, you can get this stuff from Bunnings. I can't think what it's called. It's not acrylic. It's something similar. It's like a plastic, but it doesn't hold it doesn't hold shape as well as acrylic. And when you cut it with a Dremel, it leaves like these melted kind of burn marks, burny, melty, like furry bits that you've got to sand off. But once you sand off the edges, you end up with a pretty nice little lid, because obviously with most of these fish tanks, they don't really have lids that are suitable for ants. So it's just a fish tank, and I've made my own lid just using a Dremel. And it fits pretty snug, which is ideal for me. I don't really want there to be any gaps, so it fits nice and snug, and as a result it doesn't really lose its shape either. And then there's just this little port here. If I want, I can just add things, and I can also hydrate their main entrance from that. So it's very similar to this, although with this, it's the same sort of material. On this setup, this lid keeps warping. So this is acrylic, but the rest of it's not. And if you notice, it sort of warps with gravity, and so I've constantly got to turn it over. And if I'd have known this, then I wouldn't have put... In fact, if I knew I was just going to put this there, I wouldn't have even put that hole there. If I knew I was going to put that, I would never have put that. But if I was going to put that, I would have put it dead in the center if I knew that I was going to have to flip this. But the reason I put it off center was because it sat just directly above their entrance. And so as with these girls as well, as you can actually see here, there's a bit of water there. When that looks like they're a bit thirsty, but I don't want to hydrate the nest yet, I'll sometimes just water around the outside a bit. And to water these girls, I actually shove a thin syringe underground, like a blunt tip syringe. And when you squirt it out, it hollows out the soil and just leaves like a pocket of water there, and it just sits there for days and slowly seeps in through the soil into the hebel, and the rest of the hydration just occurs straight through the entrance, which they absolutely hate. But they have to have water, you know, so these girls are older. These are quite a fair bit older, but they don't actually really have a bigger population. But it's an older colony. by at least a year. And you can see I use some sort of cheap liquid nails, like a cheap no brand version, and when it's applied too thickly, it seals itself in and doesn't allow other parts of it to even go off. So yeah, there is actually fresh liquid nails in this setup, like stuck to the glass, but it'll never cause the ants problems because it's the solvents are sealed in, so it can't bother them. But you can see that they're also doing pretty good, and I don't really want to overly disturb them because they don't take to being looked at as well as the others. They don't like it. So I did the Piriformis before I did the smaller jumper ants, and that's Myrmecia Urens there. And I've done videos in the past showing them and stuff. I'm going to just go over to these girls now. So this is Mimesia brevinota. I've actually got to work her. Oh, she killed that cricket. That cricket was alive. So we've missed that. She's just stung that. Whether or not, yep, she's just cleaning herself off from the hunt. Whether or not she brings it in, I don't know. But they have got brood that needs feeding. There we are. And this is the first time I've really done this because I don't like disturbing these girls. It's not a good idea, you know, to disturb ants that are trying to get... But yep, there we go. Some nice grubs there. And that's about all I'm going to show. If you want to get a better look at them, feel free to pause the video. They've got a beautiful dark red. You can see how I've plugged it up for now because they didn't like their original tube. They kept pulling out the cotton actually in their original tube and would not relax. So what I did was I got rid of that tube altogether and just plugged it in. I figured they don't need 3 yet. And as soon as I did that, they went into the sponge, like refillable water tube. And once they were all in there relaxing, she laid eggs straight away. So yeah, I can't sort of recommend like enough if they're starting to tug and pull at their cotton, don't hesitate to try and make them give them a setup that they're more happy with. So that's brevinota. And yeah, these girls are starting. They still haven't laid eggs. I've put them in here a while ago. But I can't see any eggs. But she does have a lot of workers, and hopefully once she relaxes and settles in a bit, she'll start laying again, because if she doesn't, then the next step is die. You know, like literally, if she stops producing eggs, I think she'll die. But I don't know why she stopped laying altogether. I don't know if it's she's just having a break and she will start like at spring, like well it is spring now, but she might, you know, but I would have thought by now she would have some good grubs going, but I think I just moved them at the wrong time. It was a bad time. They were doing really good in test tubes. And this is a Acrylic Nest from Ants Oz, and I don't know if they really like it. I thought they'd love it. I thought it would just be ideal and I'd be able to look at them whenever I want, but it's not turning out the best yet, but fingers crossed. So I always seem to do better with native species, native to the state I mean. And they're not native to the state, they're actually from the East Coast, and so are they. So fingers crossed with both of them. Whereas although this queen is from the East Coast, her species thrives down here in Adelaide. And they're beautiful, aren't they? Really, these girls are quite feisty. You don't want to underestimate them. They're more feisty than some of the Bullants sometimes. And I'm very impressed with how well this setup's lasted. Like, these girls are so dirty. If anyone who keeps Rhytidopnera metallica will know this. But with some... Now, what was it? I think it was cocoa peat and just some dirt, loam, I think, mixed together. There is some old like peat moss in there, a little trapped underground, and then on top of that, over the course of time, I've sprinkled grains of river sand Also some red desert sand I've just put in there to add extra dirt because it looked like they could do with it. So there's plenty of different substrates in there for them to pick and choose from. But what I've noticed is the setup just never really goes moldy. And I hydrate this setup directly, so yeah, really good setup. Pretty happy with it. I probably don't need this tape, but it's just there for the prey itself. Stop them getting out. Yeah, so somebody had asked me recently if you can keep crickets in the ant setup and just let them live in there, and yeah, the answer is yeah, you can. However, when they're in a really busy hunting season like now, they don't last as long. But the ants will only hunt what they need. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't be afraid to sort of, you know, give this a try. And I honestly, the crickets last a lot longer in there if they're not being hunted, I mean, than they do in one of these. Because it's just, these just always get yucky and moldy. They're gross. Worst idea. And yet I don't have, and I put that carrot in as soon as I got it the other day. You basically buy these things with fucking moldy carrot half the time. So I'll leave it at that. The video's getting pretty long now. See ya.